Hope you're doing good. We're live to research the fight between Rafael Fiziev and Mateusz Gamrot, which is the main event at this weekend's Fight Night card, which is a brilliant main event. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, just know that this is a live stream where we're going to be researching this fight together as a group to see if we can find any decent bets. So what that means is this is not like that structured. You won't find timestamps or anything like that below, just because we're researching this fight together as a group for the first time. I don't really know what to expect, but hopefully we can dig up some decent bets. Now, I am just going to check if the streams are working. We're live on Twitch, that's working great. Let's take a look at Twitter. We are live on Twitter as well, by the look of it, I think. Let me just double check. Yes, we're up on Twitter. Superb. And the final one, YouTube. Are we live on YouTube? We're there as well, the trifectas. You can watch us on YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter. And now I just need to blast out a message to everyone on Telegram and on the Discord so that they know we're live. Just give me 2 seconds and we'll be good to go. Will not be long. We'll be good to go soon. Just blast this out on Discord as well. Hope you're all doing good, guys. Let's pop it out on Discord as well. Alright, here we go, man. Here we go. That should do it. So let's get into this fight then. So, we should start off by taking a look at the odds. So, Rafael Fiziev is the favourite at average odds of around 1.63, which is going to be minus 159 for an implied probability of 61%. We take a look at the odds on Gamrot. He's around an average of 2.3, we'll say about 2.35, which is going to be plus 135 for an implied probability of 43%. So it feels like the odds have declined on Fiziev. They were better than this last week, I'm almost sure of it. Let's take a look. Yeah, they have dipped a bit since last week. He was in the even money odds range last week, but they've declined a bit, which is a bit of a shame because my lean is definitely Fiziev in this one. If we take a look at the tail of the tape, Fiziev, 30 years old, 5'8" with a 71.5-inch reach. Gamrot, 32 years old, 5'10" with a 70.5-inch reach. So both guys roughly the same age, roughly the same size, roughly the same body types as well. They both have those small, compact, muscular frames. So let's see if we got any comments and then we'll get into it. Let's see what we got. Hey, what's up, Tom, mate? Hope you're doing good, Thomas. Hope you're doing good, mate. Hey, what's up, Sean, mate? Hey, Sherry, how you doing? Hope you're all good. Hope you're doing good. Yo, Sherry, it's interesting you say that. It is very, very it's very interesting you say that, because I've actually this weekend been looking at moving to the United States, so I might have to hit you up for a green card, man. I need to look into how to get in. A lot of other countries that have got like golden visas, economic visas, where you can like just buy a house or invest a certain amount of money in the country, usually like $200,000-$300,000. They'll let you live there. They'll give you a green card. But I'm not sure if the United States do that, or at least the states I'm looking to move to. But yeah, green card, you know, may have to take you up, Sherry. I want to live in the US. Need to get the fuck out of the UK. It is not a great place to be living at the moment. Dystopian hell. Anyway, there we go. There we go. Sounds good to me, Sherry. What part of the United States do you live, Sherry? I've been looking at the places with fair tax legislation like Tennessee, New Hampshire. Those two top of my list at the moment. Anyway, let's get into it, man. Let's get into these fights, or this fight in particular. So, when we look at this matchup, it is a classic striker versus grappler matchup. Gamrot, obviously the grappler, Fiziev, the striker. Where this fight gets really complicated for me, before we even dive into researching it, is Gamrot has an anomalous performance. The one and only time that we've ever seen him in a 25-minute main event. So if you look at any other fight in Gamrot's career, even dating back to his fights in KSW, his cardio has always been bad. And we've seen that in his fights against Jalen Turner, Beneil Dariush. He was slowing bad against Carlos Diego Ferreira. He also slowed against Guram Kutateladze. So anytime we've ever seen Gamrot ever, he has gassed and his cardio has looked pretty bad. But there was one weird performance in his career which didn't make any sense, and it was his fight against Arman Tazrukian, where he literally sprinted for 25 minutes. It was the only time in the UFC he's been in a 5-rounder so far, and he didn't slow down at all. His cardio looked phenomenal, and that fight just doesn't make any sense in the big picture. And we'll see it in this research session when he's absolutely gassed out of his mind against Dariush and Turner, but still, you know, pushing, going hard in the 5th against Tazrukian. So that makes it tricky to bet on Gamrot, because we've seen two different versions of him. If you said to me right now that the version of Gamrot we're going to get this weekend is the version that fought Dariush or Turner, I am pretty sure I would be placing a huge bet on Fiziev this weekend. But if the version of Gamrot that fought Tazrukian shows up, Fiziev's in a lot of trouble. So that inconsistent side to Gamrot's career in the UFC so far does make this a bit tricky to bet, because depending on what version of him we get will dramatically impact his chances of winning. And that's annoying. That's really annoying. Very annoying. Because I was unlucky enough to place a pretty big bet on Tazrukian in this fight, and it's one of my biggest losses of last year. We got brutally unlucky, because if the version of Gamrot that fought Turner or Dariush would have shown up, Tazrukian would have smoked him. So it was a very strange performance. We'll see that in this video. Florida. You know the problem with Florida though, man, Sherry? Problem with Florida? The weather. I know it's a crazy thing to say, but I like the 4 seasons. I like the winter. I like the rain. That's why I'm looking at like New Hampshire. And then the hurricanes, right? Hurricanes not good. Yeah, it's the same, Brandon. It's the same in the UK, mate. The price of everything's gone absolutely unbelievable. Like, basically, about early this year, so at the beginning of every year, I look at my finances, and then I look towards the end of the year, and then I start to plan, you know, how much I have to save every month to pay my tax bill at the end of the year. And my tax bills tend to be pretty beefy, because just like Canada, the UK hit you pretty hard on taxes. And like, you know what it's like, right? You guys probably the same as me. I was on like a monthly basis. I'm not looking at like every fucking dollar I spend. Like, I'm not like monitoring my bills and how much I'm spending, because I don't really, like, I'm not like a lavish guy. Like, I'm not going out all the time, you know what I mean? I'm not going on like vacation all the time. Like, for the most part, 6 days a week, I'm chained to my desk working my balls off. Like, this weekend's event will be the 19th consecutive week of UFC events. So I'm not exaggerating, I've barely left my house in 19 weeks. So it's not like I go anywhere or do anything to spend money. And then earlier this year, where I was like planning for my tax bill, I was like where the fuck is my money gone? You know what I mean? Like, you have in your mind the projection of how much money you should have based on what you've spent, and I had way less money than I thought I had. And I'm like, where the fuck is the money gone? Because I haven't bought anything. Like, I haven't gone anywhere, I haven't done anything, I haven't spent anything. And you look, and literally, like, since COVID, like, basically all my outgoings have like doubled. It's gone fucking crazy, man. So yeah, UK's a lot like Canada at the moment, where the cost of everything is just outrageous. Like, governments have let us down so much, where people's finances are getting squeezed and strangled through no fault of their own. It's just fucking stupid governments, you know, bad decisions, bad policy making, and it's having a massive impact on us. You know what I mean? It's absolutely brutal. So that's why I've been looking at leaving the UK, because now here Canada's pretty bad, just like over here. You know, it's not good, man. Yo, Texas again, pretty hot, right? Pretty hot. PA. What county is PA? Let's take a look. PA gives you all 4 seasons. I've heard that PA, is that Pittsburgh? Maybe? No, it can't be Pittsburgh. PA, where is PA? But yeah, it needs to be good for sports betting as well. I gotta try and find a nice balance. Alright, man. Let's get into this fight, I reckon. So what we're gonna do, we'll research this fight as a group, and all I'm gonna do is we'll watch the fight together. We'll watch each fight together and then see if we can work out if either one of these guys is worth a bet. So what I want to do is start off with Gamrot, because I feel a big part of deciding whether or not this fight is worth betting is actually seeing how Gamrot's cardio is likely to look. Because like I say, aside from that total anomaly, which was the Tazrukian fight, from memory, Gamrot has gassed in basically every fight in the UFC that went long enough for him to look tired. So if we look at the Turner fight to kick things off, that'll be like a nice foundation for researching this one. So what I'm going to do is drop the link for the Gamrot Turner fight into YouTube. Pennsylvania, nice one, Hilts, mate. And what we're going to do, we will research this together. Can't show the footage on YouTube because it'll get copyright flagged, which is really annoying. Be much better if we could all watch these fights together to research. Someone was saying that you can do it like on Discord, like I could just share my screen on Discord and we could research the fights as a group that way, but I just don't want to risk getting my Discord server closed down, because that would be a nightmare. That would not be good. So what we need to do is sync up the first round. I need to grab you guys the ESPN Plus link as well, and we need to switch camera also. There we go. So here's the ESPN Plus link. I'll drop them in as well. There we go. So sync up the first round of Gamrot Turner, guys, and we'll get into it in just a sec. Just catch up on some comments. I'll get my countdown clock up as well. Pop that in the background. Let's get the countdown clock. There it is. So you can sync up the round with me and we can all watch the same thing like Joe Rogan does on his companions. What have we got? Brandon is saying fortunate. Yeah, you know, yeah, exactly, Brandon. It's crazy. Like, I think, like, how are people surviving, man? Because you know, if I go back when my son was born, like 15 years, there's no way I'd be able to cope right now with the income I had back then. It's crazy. And I wasn't earning like terrible money then either. It's just things have gone up so much. It's unbelievable. What is up, Big Mac, mate? Big Mac is asking if we can research the Ige Mitchell fight. We can't do it in this live stream, but I was thinking of doing that fight this week on a live stream. So I've got a lot of content dropping this week. Obviously, the Champions League starts tomorrow. The Europa League starts Thursday, and the Europa Conference League starts Thursday as well. So I've got a lot of videos coming out on YouTube this week with some football betting tips for the Champions League, Europa League, and Europa Conference League. So it is a really busy week for me because we've got a lot of football. This week's an amazing week for football. But yeah, I will try and do a stream for Ige Mitchell as well, mate. That is a great fight. Brandon is saying, how do you score the Grasso-Shevchenko fight? I had it 48-47 Grasso, but could see round 4 going either way. So I scored it 3 rounds to 2 for Shevchenko, only because in the 4th round, which I think is like the round that's most up for debate, the only success that Shevchenko really had, the only success that Grasso had in round 4 was when Grasso got to the clinch and was kind of kneeing Shevchenko in the head and then drove Shevchenko into the cage. Outside of that sequence, Shevchenko won round 4 pretty clear. With that sequence, you can make a strong case Grasso won. The reason why I scored the round 4 for Shevchenko was because a lot of those knees that Shevchenko landed in that position were illegal. The ref just didn't do anything about it. So I think Shevchenko should have won round 4 based on that. So I added 3 rounds to 2 for Shevchenko. But if those knees were legal, I probably would have scored round 4 for Grasso. But yeah, terrible refereeing. Not only was there an issue with the refereeing in that fight where, you know, in that position, like half of the knees Grasso landed were legal, half were illegal. The ref just didn't do anything. Which is, you know, even though they didn't damage Shevchenko much, the point is it makes the round, it makes it way more likely that Grasso wins that round with those knees. So the ref should have stepped in. And then you have the issue in the fucking Lacerda fight as well, where he didn't tap, still had his legs underneath him. The ref jumped in and stopped it too early. So annoying. You know what, Big Mac? I'm almost sure I won't be betting Dan Ige in that fight, just because Bryce Mitchell is an incredibly strong grappler. And when you look at how much Ige has struggled on the ground against guys like Evloev and Korean Zombie, I just can't see me betting on him, personally. I don't think I'll be betting him. But anyway, let's get into this fight then. So, start it up. Gamrot versus Turner. Let's get it going. In round 1, it starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, let's go. So, I really feel like this fight between Gamrot and Fiziev is going to come down to cardio. It's a 25-minute fight, and both guys, we've seen them slow down multiple times in the past. You saw, you know, Fiziev start to slow a little bit in his last fight against Gaethje, and Gaethje was able to outwork him late on and take over. We also saw Fiziev slow against Bobby Green. And like I say, Gamrot has slowed down in every single one of his fights in the UFC, apart from the Tazrukian fight, which is interesting, because that Tazrukian fight was his only 5-rounder in the UFC, and this fight this weekend against Fiziev is going to be another 5-rounder. So does that mean that Gamrot just trains harder for 5-rounders or something? I'm not too sure, but there's a definite difference in Gamrot's cardio in 3-rounders compared to 5-rounders if that Tazrukian fight is anything to go off. And on top of that, he fought at a really high pace against Tazrukian. It was a mind-blowing performance because it was so out of alignment with all of his other performances. It just didn't make any sense. Now, with Fiziev, there's not a whole lot of footage available on his takedown offense and ground game. He hasn't fought many grapplers, but luckily we did see Rafael dos Anjos try to take him down a good number of times. So that's going to be a good fight to watch. Beautiful double leg entry there from Gamrot, and he turns the corner as well. But Gamrot's problem has always been that even though his offensive wrestling is brilliant, he's got great takedown entries, he's not the most physically imposing grappler, so he doesn't have a particularly heavy top game, and he does struggle to hold guys down. And we're seeing him try to establish a dominant position here, but Turner has just walked himself over to the cage so that he can start the wall walk. And we know Turner is pretty weak off his back, a lot weaker than, you know, what Fiziev looked against Rafael dos Anjos. So Gamrot's problem, if you look at all of his fights, Tazrukian, Kuta Taladze, even the Scott Holtzman fight, his problem's been that when he takes guys down, he really struggles to hold them down. And like I say, he's having a decent amount of success here, but it's mainly because of how weak Turner is off his back. You can see Turner trying to post on that right side, gradually stands back up. Now, positions like this with guys like Turner that have got bad takedown defense drive me crazy. Like, why aren't you fighting for underhooks here? Instead, he's just relying on his balance to stay upright. If he goes to underhooks, he can then make it extremely difficult for Gamrot to upset his balance if he anchors himself with those underhooks, but instead he's just kind of got that overhook on the left side. And he's fighting hands on the other side, and now they're back in the middle of the octagon. So what I'm paying close attention to in this first round is how much energy Gamrot is exerting, because we're only 3.5 minutes in and you can already see his mouth open wide. After eating that big right hand, he's jumped on a takedown. But even just in that little sequence of grappling, when they get back up to their feet, you can see Gamrot looking pretty gassed. And now he's established half guards. This is a bad position for Turner to be in because he's weak off his back anyway. And it's right towards the end of the round. Gamrot is one of these guys that if he had a decent gas tank and like strong grappling control, he would be an absolute nightmare. He'd be another Khabib. But his cardio costs him bad. Alright, let's sync up this second round. So round 2 starts at 8 minutes and 5 seconds on Fight Pass. Let's get it going. 8 minutes 5 seconds. Hey, what's up, Monkey Business? What's up, Hugo Boss? Hope you're doing good, guys. Hope you're doing good. So Hingle McCringleberry, thanks a lot, mate. He's just reminding us that Gamrot took the Turner fight on less than a week's notice. So that would explain why Gamrot starts to slow down pretty bad in this second round. At least I think he does. We'll soon find out. So let's get this second round going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's see. So you could literally see after that first grappling sequence, Gamrot had his mouth wide open. And he was looking flatter in his movement than earlier in the first round. So let's keep an eye on that. But if he took the fight on a week's notice, it's understandable, right? I didn't realise that, so thanks a lot for letting me know, man. Where guys like Gamrot are usually really tough to deal with is, even though they don't have the best grappling control, because their takedown entries are so great, they're very good at getting guys down, and then when they obviously take their opponents down, their opponent has to exert energy to work their way back up to their feet. So even though guys like Gamrot don't have the best grappling control, they're really good at wearing guys out. We saw a bit of that in the Tazrukian fight. The problem with Gamrot is that he also wears himself out when he grapples, which diminishes the impact that that advantage has. But what's interesting about this Fiziev fight is that we've seen Fiziev slow as well. Like I say, he's slowed in the Bobby Green and the Justin Gaethje fights. So if Gamrot can wear him out with grappling, and then, you know, Fiziev becomes easier to take down and hold down because he doesn't have the energy to get back up to his feet, then it does make Gamrot a really tricky style for Fiziev to deal with. What is also quite notable to me here is against Tazrukian. Obviously Tazrukian did outstrike Gamrot by a wide margin, but Gamrot's striking defense also looked pretty good. Obviously he's taking a lot of damage now, and Turner's landing clean and hard at a high volume, but you've got to think a big part of that is due to the size and the length of Turner. You know, he can make the octagon a really small place to be. There's a big size difference between these two, whereas Fiziev, Gamrot are roughly the same size, so it's going to be far easier for Gamrot to circle away from Turner. Because Fiziev can't crowd Gamrot in the same way a massive guy like Turner can. So very nice double leg there from Gamrot. And he wasn't looking crazy tired in this round either, considering he's coming on short notice and Turner's putting a lot of pressure on him. Like, it's exhausting to fight on the back foot like this. So Gamrot's cardio, he's definitely tiring, but it looks a lot better in this fight than I thought it was from memory, which is why it's really important to do the fight research, because if you would have asked me an hour ago what Gamrot's cardio looked like against Jalen Turner, I would have said it looked terrible. But it's holding up alright actually, especially when you consider that he's been burning through a lot of energy on the back foot, being pressured by Turner. And to be fair, Fiziev doesn't really fight like that. Fiziev likes to meet in the middle of the octagon and fight in kickboxing range. He's not really a pressure fighter, or at least I don't recall him ever being a pressure fighter. So Hugo Boss is leaning towards Fiziev here by the look of it. It's a bit disappointing that the odds declined on Fiziev. I could have sworn he was like 1.80 minus 125 not that long ago. So that's the end of round 3. Let's get into this third round now and see how Gamrot's cardio is holding up in this third. So this this third round starts at 14 minutes and 15 seconds. Let's get it going. 14 minutes, 15 seconds. Sync it up, guys. Let's get it going. Hey, what's up, MTez? Hope you're doing great, mate. Hope you're doing good. From sunny Las Vegas as well, man. From sunny Las Vegas. I can't wait to go to Vegas one day, man. Never been. I've only been to the US once. I went to New York earlier this year. I loved it. I think the United States is an amazing country, which is why I want to move there. So I love you guys that keep coming up with more, you know, ideas of places to move to over there, because I'm not too familiar with the geography. So I really appreciate it. So Hilt is saying that you can see at this point Gamrot doesn't want to engage. Yeah, trying to avoid engaging, right? So that he can conserve energy, pace himself. So the cynical Slayer is saying Gamrot has good cardio. You always say fighters have bad cardio when it's not the case for the most fighters. You point that out. Not everyone is Marab. Come on. Okay, so basically, right, I just like to deal in facts, right? So when I put the breakdown videos out, literally my workflow is I'll spend like Monday to Wednesday researching like all the fights on a card, and then, you know, Thursday, Friday I'll put breakdown videos out for them. So where the cynical Slayer is saying you always say fighters have bad cardio when they don't, it's a tricky one for me, because I feel the guys like this are under the impression that I'm kind of just coming out with like opinions from like memories of things that I think are true, when really all I'm doing is summarizing things I've seen with my own eyes, like very recently, like within the last few days. So I feel like what you've said is definitely not true and can't be true, and this stream's a really good example, right? So I'm mentioning that, you know, Gamrot has slowed down in absolutely loads of his UFC fights. You know, the Turner fight, the Dariush fight. He was looking very tired against Carlos Diego Ferreira. He's looking tired against Guram Kutateladze. The one anomaly, the one exception where he didn't, his cardio looked fantastic, was against Arman Tazrukian. But even if you go further back, Gamrot slows in most of his fights in KSW that went deep as well. But the beauty is, we're all watching this shit together. So if I'm completely wrong, Gamrot's got amazing cardio. Well, we're about to watch his last 3 fights, right? His last 4 fights maybe, so we're going to find out. But from my perspective, towards the end of the first round against Jalen Turner, 3.5 minutes in, his mouth's open wide. He's looking pretty tired. In that second round, you could see that he just didn't want to engage because he was fading. He didn't have the energy to engage. So he was just circling away from Turner to pace himself. And for me, it's not great that Gamrot has to do that 6 or 7 minutes into a UFC fight. For me, he does have bad cardio based on that, because he has to be really, really careful about how much energy he's exerting. And that's a huge problem, because in fights like this, it doesn't cause him an issue, because Jalen Turner's takedown defense is so bad that he can basically avoid engaging with Turner for 2-3 minutes at a time, recharge his batteries, conserve energy, and then really commit hard to that takedown. Now imagine if Gamrot is facing someone with good takedown defense and he's looking like this after 6 or 7 minutes. Imagine if he can't rely on just being able to commit hard to that one big takedown and get that takedown to steal the round. Well, now he's in a position where he's slowed in 6 or 7 minutes against the guy where he's barely doing anything in this fight, if we're being brutally honest. So I don't feel what you've said is accurate with Gamrot has good cardio. He had incredible, odds-defying, nonsensical, illogical cardio in the Tazrukian fight, which I can't explain. But if we look at every other fight outside of that that's gone past round 1, he has faded very, very hard. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know why. And that is what makes this fight so difficult for betting. Because if you just switch back over very quickly, this is why this fight is really, really tough. Because Gamrot and Fiziev have both got a history of slowing down in fights. Quite bad. But the one time that Gamrot didn't was against Tazrukian, and he looked absolutely unbelievable. He sprinted for 25 minutes, didn't slow down at all, and looked incredible. So the problem with a fight like this is we've seen 2 really different versions of Gamrot. Like in the Tazrukian fight, he was spamming takedowns. He was exerting loads of energy, grinding on Tazrukian up against the cage. He was throwing big combinations. He was throwing a high volume of strikes. And he just didn't slow. And then in the Jalen Turner fight, he barely does anything and slows down. It just is tough, because that when you've got an inconsistent fighter like Gamrot, it makes him very difficult to bet on and very difficult to bet against. He's tough to bet because, you know, if he shows up like he did against Dariush or Turner, he's in a lot of trouble. And Fiziev probably lights him up, stuffs all of his takedowns, and wins comfortably. But if Gamrot the foot Tazrukian shows up, you know he's going to give Fiziev absolute hell. Like if you said to me right now, like if fucking God sat down in this room and he's like, I can tell you anything about the future, I'm all seeing, I know everything, right? And I promise you right now, the version of Gamrot the foot Tazrukian is going to fight this weekend, right? The version of Gamrot we're going to get is the same one that fought against Tazrukian. I would literally place my biggest bet of the year on Gamrot, because I think he would run through Fiziev. I just don't think Fiziev would be able to deal with the pace that Gamrot put on Tazrukian. But we can't bet that, because that is a very rare performance. And I don't know what the fuck he did. Was it EPO? Was he eating like amazing fucking diet for that fight? Was he training harder than ever? I don't know. But that performance isn't what you usually get from him. which makes this fight kind of tricky to bet, which is annoying, man. It's very, very annoying. Inconsistency makes things a motherfucker. Hey, what's up, 2 Scoops? Hope you're doing good, mate. What's up, Zero? Nice one. What's up? What's up? Hope you're all doing good. You know what, MTez? The thing about Vegas, though, is the weather. I like my 4 seasons. I like my snow. You know, I like my rain. I don't think I'd be very happy living in the middle of a desert. You know what I mean? I don't think I would like it too much. Cynical Slayer is saying many fighters fight with their mouth open. Doesn't mean they're tired. Fighters pace themselves as well. Yeah, I mean, we don't need to talk by now, right? Because we're going to be literally watching these fights like shortly, so we're going to see for ourselves. But I'm pretty sure you will agree with me by the time we're done with these fights that Gamrot's cardio isn't particularly good. The Dariush fight will for sure show it. Big Mac saying leaning maybe dog or pass at the moment with the odds. I think it's a close fight with weaknesses the other can expose. Yeah, that's a good point, man. Hey, what's up, Joey? Hope you're doing good, mate. Hope you're doing good. Alright, let's get into this third round. So round 3 starts at 14 minutes 15 seconds. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, let's go. The problem that I've got with this fight for Gamrot, right, is, say for example, he performs like this against Fiziev. So what we've seen in the first round here is Gamrot shot a lot of takedowns, used a lot of grappling. He had some success with that because Turner's takedown offense is really bad. We know based on the Rafael dos Anjos fight that Fiziev's takedown offense is a lot better than Turner's. Partly because he's got that lower center of gravity, right? It's harder to upset his balance. So what we've seen from Gamrot is grapple hard in round 1, and then in the second round he didn't really do a whole lot because he obviously had to conserve energy to be able to do this late on, right? Where he stole round 2 with a takedown and now he's grappling hard in this third. The problem you've got when you face someone like Fiziev is Fiziev's probably not going to tire that much by the second or third round in a 5-rounder. I mean, his cardio looked pretty good against Rafael dos Anjos. There was a decent amount of grappling in it. So Gamrot kind of got away with slowing a bit in round 2 because Turner's takedown offense was so bad that he gave up a cheap takedown at the end of round 2 and Gamrot stole that round. Problem with someone like Fiziev is Fiziev's going to be blasting you with leg kicks, body kicks, combinations throughout the entirety of that round 2. And then if you're not making him work hard, he's got the takedown defense to also stuff that takedown at the end of round 2 as well. So it becomes really tricky for Gamrot where in a 5-rounder it's going to be more difficult to take breaks against someone like Fiziev because he can't bank on his ability to get Fiziev down and keep Fiziev down when he actually really starts to commit hard to his takedowns. That's where a matchup like this gets quite complicated. It's a tricky one. So again, Turner's not bothered about fighting for underhooks here. He's just happy to stay with these overhooks, but his legs are so close together. It's just his takedown offense is sketchy, man. He does a lot of the wrong stuff. Like, look how close his legs are together. He should be widening them to create a nice wide base against the cage. Like, it's so easy to hit trips and throws from these positions. And I'm surprised Gamrot didn't get him back down from there with how close together his legs were. Again, you can just see mouth open wide from Gamrot, laboured body movement. You're looking up at the clock. And there's still 2 minutes left to go in the round. You can just see he's just avoiding engaging now. And you know his tactic's going to be to do exactly that, right? To try and steal the round with a takedown. But because he's a little bit more tired now. He can't generate as much drive on those double leg entries, and it's quite predictable now what he's trying to do. Turner sees it coming and sprawls out of it. Like, for me, when I look at Gamrot here, you can see he's really tired. And you have to think this is only round 3 of a 5-rounder. It'll be interesting to see how much grappling there is in the RDA versus Fiziev fight in the first 3 rounds. And then look at how Fiziev's cardio looks in round 3. Because the thing is, Gamrot might be able to wear Fiziev down with grappling. So it will be interesting to see how Fiziev looks in the 3rd round compared to Gamrot. Because you can see Gamrot is really tired here. But what he's doing here, persistently grappling, could wear Fiziev down badly. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, how much Fiziev was forced to grapple against RDA. Do you know what? You know what? We might. You know what? We might actually be better off watching that fight next, because the Justin Gaethje was the Justin Gaethje fight was a stand-up fight, and I think whether this fight is worth a bet or not is going to depend on how Fiziev's cardio and takedown defense looked against RDA. So we should probably watch that next, and then we've got a good idea of, you know, whether or not this fight will be worth betting. By the time we've watched the fight we've just watched and that one, we should be in a much better place. So what I'll do, I'll drop the links in for the Fiziev RDA fight, and then we can come back and watch the Gaethje fight in a bit. But I think this one's really important because it's pretty much the only fight in the UFC where Fiziev's takedown defense has been tested. No one else has really tried to take him down. He's been blessed by facing loads of strikers. So sync this one up for me, guys, and we'll see what we've got. So sync up this first round on Fight Pass. It starts at on Fight Pass it starts at 2 minutes 48. So sync that one up, guys. So Hugo Boss is asking, how important is the danger threat level in determining a winner in your opinion? Let me know what you mean by that, Hugo, mate. Do you mean like how important is the threat of a finish or like a flash knockout or something? Let me know, mate. Let me know, dude. Catch up on some comments. Cynical Slayer is saying, based on all the prior fights, I think Fiziev beats Gamrot. He'll step most of the takedowns and eat him alive on the feet. 2023 barely made any sense, so probably passing. Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I do think this is probably going to be a tough one for betting. Defo, mate. Hingle is saying, I'm not too bullish on RDA's grappling. He's been out wrestled by every good wrestler he's ever faced. Yeah, Gamrot's definitely a better wrestler than RDA. You're right there, mate. Memes for days is saying Turner's one of the biggest weight bullies in the sport. He's massive for the division, right? Alright, let's get this next one going. So this is RDA Fiziev. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So let's take a look. The one thing about RDA though, he does have, or usually has pretty good takedown entries because he's got that lower center of gravity as well, just like Gamrot. So he is pretty good at shooting in on the legs and hips usually. And RDA has better grappling control than Gamrot as well. Gamrot gives his opponents a lot of space to pop back up, whereas RDA is a lot tighter. What's interesting is we see both Gamrot and Fiziev slow, usually in their 3-rounders, but they both, in their only 5-rounders in the UFC, look really good. Fiziev getting the late finish in this one. It's an amazing main event this weekend, though. I love it. I love a main event where you know it's going to be a competitive fight. You know a quick finish is unlikely. And you know both guys are really well matched. So amazing takedown defense straight away. You can see we were talking about Turner not going for underhooks in the fight we just watched. As soon as RDA shot that takedown, Fiziev read it and immediately got underhooks in play to shut the takedown attempt down. So what I'm looking for here is how much energy is Fiziev being forced to exert in these positions, because we know Gamrot, when he's working with takedowns up against the cage, is absolutely relentless, and even though that does tire him out, it's also going to tire his opponent out. So we want to be looking at how much energy Fiziev is exerting, and then paying attention to how he looks into the 3rd and 4th round of this one. His takedown defense looks great though. Nice wide base against the cage. Tight overhook on the right side. His balance just looks very good. So really good takedown defense there from Fiziev. I mean, RDA didn't try and get in on his legs that deep until, well, after the first entry. He read the initial entry brilliantly. I am also wondering whether the footwork and the movement of Gamrot could cause Fiziev trouble, because Gamrot is really good at not engaging. Like when he's trying to conserve energy, he's really good at just staying all the way out of a range that he can be hit. From memory, I don't really recall seeing Fiziev pressure his opponents in any other fight other than the Bobby Green one where he gassed himself out. Like Fiziev likes to fight in this range in the middle of the octagon, right? But I can't really see Gamrot playing that game with him. I think Gamrot's going to be all the way outside of a range where he can be hit, or all the way on the inside working for takedowns. Those kicks are so fast though, man. But I'm just looking at these kicks, right? Fiziev's kicking game is brilliant. But is Gamrot going to be in a range where those kicks could land? Probably not. Fiziev's able to land these kicks because RDA has stood right in front of him. But Gamrot's not going to fight him in that range. He's going to be all the way out, trying to conserve energy and pace himself, or all the way in. And when he's all the way in, he's working for takedowns, so you're not going to be able to get kicks off. But another good takedown entry from RDA, and bulletproof takedown defense from Fiziev. He reads the takedown entry coming and just gets that underhook in play on the left side early. Nice wide base against the cage. And you can see Fiziev is going to be very, very difficult to take down. You're going to have to get this guy tired to be able to take him down and hold him down. This is a great fight, man. This is a very competitive fight. You can already see. I'd be really surprised if either one of these guys dominated this. I think they're really well matched. And what's so interesting is they're well matched with like different strengths and weaknesses. It's like a real clash of styles, but you know they've both got different strengths that can cause the other a problem. So that's the first round done. Let's get this second round going. So round 2 starts in 9 minutes and 3 seconds on Fight Pass. Sync it up, guys. 9 minutes 3 seconds. So Hugo Boss is wondering about how big of a factor is someone's ability to hurt the other in determining a winner. So what he's saying is, if we look at these two, right, Gamrot and Fiziev, it's not that likely that Gamrot will hurt Fiziev, right? Yes, Gamrot knocked out Scott Holtzman, but outside of that, he's more of a grinder, right? Whereas Fiziev, even though to be fair, Fiziev's fought to a lot of decisions, he is a dangerous striker. You can see he lands mean, nasty, hard, impactful strikes. So it is definitely it's definitely important. But when I'm looking at betting a fight, I try to focus more on whether someone can win a decision, like whether someone can outperform their opponent over the whole duration of the fight. So I wouldn't look at a matchup like this and go, you know what, Fiziev lands harder, more damaging, more impactful shots, so I'm much more likely to bet him. I would instead look at it and go, if the fight goes to a decision, who's more capable of outworking their opponent over those 5 rounds? So I'll give you an example, right? Like last weekend, the Grasso versus Shevchenko fight. My lean on that fight was Shevchenko, because the way I would look at it is Shevchenko's capable of outperforming Grasso over the full 5 rounds, right? She can outstrike her and she can outgrapple her. With Grasso, you know, I don't feel personally Grasso was capable of outperforming Shevchenko over 5 rounds. She'd have to, you know, do something crazy in order to get the win, because of how bad her takedown offense is. The fact that she doesn't have too much power in her hands is not the best example, but for me, I only focus on, can a fighter win over 5 rounds. Like, if I didn't think Fiziev could outperform Gamrot over 5 rounds, if I thought Fiziev can't outperform Gamrot over 5 rounds, but he's pretty likely to knock him out in the first 2 rounds, I would not bet him. I would only bet him if I knew he could outperform his opponent over the whole duration of the fight. I don't know if that answers your question. It probably doesn't, but it's very important to me that a guy can perform to his full potential for the whole fight. Call Me Whatever is saying, at underdog odds, Gamrot is the side to be on. I'm getting the same vibes as when Gamrot fought Tazrukian. It is a similar sort of stylistic matchup. Do you know where I do agree with Call Me Whatever to some extent? I do think Tazrukian's a lot better than Fiziev. So if we're trying not to overcomplicate things, right? If Gamrot was able to beat Tazrukian, I mean, look, I think personally it was one of the worst decisions of last year. I've watched the fight 3-4 times since. Every time I watch it, it gets clearer and clearer that Tazrukian won the fight. But it was close, it was competitive. For me, Tazrukian is so much better than Fiziev that if Gamrot's capable of doing that against Tazrukian, maybe we're overcomplicating things, you know? Because if he fights like that, he's going to give Fiziev hell. Big Mac is saying, if Gamrot lands good takedowns and top control in the first 2 rounds, I'd expect the takedown to come off a kick most likely. Yeah, that's a good point. So Big Mac is saying that might reduce the amount of kicks that Fiziev throws. The only problem with that is that Fiziev's kicks are so fast, and there's like no telegraph on them. They're going to be difficult to read. They're going to be difficult to get takedowns off them. I'm not saying Gamrot can't do it, but it won't be easy. So let's get this second round going. Let's sync it up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, let's go. So, first round contested at a decent pace. Fiziev's takedown offense looks amazing, but I'm not sure how effective his kicks are going to be against Gamrot, because I don't think Gamrot's going to stand in front of him like RDA is. Actually, Fiziev catching a kick there. Alright, we got a stoppage for a foul. Hopefully they'll start it up again pretty quick. Let's see if we got any football scores. So for anyone that likes football, I'm going to be dropping a video with some Champions League bets later on. The Champions League starts tomorrow. And then I got more videos coming out for the Europa League and the Europa Conference League Tuesday and Wednesday. So keep an eye on the channel for those. Let's get back into this fight. Really nice takedown entry there from RDA, but Fiziev saw it coming and stepped off to his left, which meant that RDA couldn't get a tight grip on that single leg. What I do like about this fight is that we are seeing RDA grind on Fiziev a bit in the clinch. So it'll be interesting to see how Fiziev's cardio looks into that third and fourth round, because RDA is making him work decently hard here. He's not making him work as hard as Gamrot can. You never know though. You never know. You never know. Especially if Gamrot takes long periods off to recover in between grappling exchanges. But what's interesting about this fight is that it's such a similar style that Fiziev will be facing to this Gamrot fight, right? RDA Gamrot have got similar body types. They've both got good takedown entries. The real difference is that RDA, because he's got a base in Muay Thai, is quite happy to stand in front of Fiziev and try and win a kickboxing match, where I don't think Gamrot's going to play that game. Beautiful double leg entry there from RDA. Fiziev just uses that overhook to stuff it. You know, one issue that I do potentially see for Fiziev in this fight. We know Gamrot's tough. We know he's got an amazing chin. He showed that in the Tazrikian matchup. The issue for Gamrot in this fight is, and especially if he doesn't engage with Fiziev on the feet, I don't feel Fiziev does a particularly good job of putting his stamp on rounds. He kind of just chips away at you, and he does land hard, damaging, impactful shots. But it is just volume that he puts together. And this kind of hurt him against Gaethje, right? Where he didn't really put his stamp on rounds and lost a close decision. With Gamrot's wrestling, he's far more capable of putting his stamp on rounds, because if Gamrot lands a big takedown, gets a bit of grappling control, it takes a lot of volume to outwork that big moment. Really loud. Really loud. Sorry, boys. Alright, let's get this third round synced up. Let's get it going. Let's get this third round up. So this third round starts at 15 minutes and 54 seconds. 15 minutes 54. on Fight Pass. Sync it up, guys. Nice one, Hugo, mate. 15 minutes, 54 seconds. Hey, Mo Sharif. So Mo is saying, just joined, but initial thoughts is that a fight looks a lot like Fiziev versus RDA. It makes sense, right? Because RDA's style or body type is quite, style of grappling, quite similar to Gamrot's. You know what, man? Let's get this third round going. So start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I think this is going to be one of those fights where I just don't have a strong opinion on it, because the way I look at this fight is you can build like really strong cases for both guys winning, and it goes back to what someone said earlier on in the stream, where they've both got strengths that the other could exploit. So based on the first two fights that we've watched, I don't think Gamrot is going to have much success with his grappling until later in the fight, when Fiziev may potentially get tired. The reason being, Gamrot does have very good takedown entries, but his grappling control isn't the best. Fiziev is really difficult to take down and hold down. So I think early in the fight, Gamrot is really going to struggle to get his grappling going. The problem with this matchup, though, is that I don't think Gamrot is going to fight Fiziev in the range where Fiziev is at his best. So Fiziev likes to stand in the middle of the octagon, where he can use his superior technique, his amazing kicks, his lightning fast combinations to outstrike you, right? Because he's a better striker than a lot of guys in the division. But Gamrot has got absolutely no need to fight in that range. He doesn't need to win a kickboxing match here. He needs to try and tire Fiziev out to win 3 out of 5 rounds with takedowns. So I think what you're going to see from Gamrot is he's going to be all the way outside the range where Fiziev can land, using that footwork and movement like he did in round 2 of Jalen Turner to circle on the outside and avoid engaging, or then he's going to be committing hard to those takedown attempts. And I don't think Fiziev is a particularly good pressure fighter. He also doesn't have the size of Jalen Turner, so it's not going to be easy for Fiziev to crowd and pressure Gamrot. So I am starting to lean more towards Gamrot in this fight, because even in this third round, you know, we've just seen RDA briefly get Fiziev down. All of a sudden, yeah, Fiziev is, you know, his takedown offense is still very good here. He's still difficult to hold down. But it's getting easier. And I've also noticed that Fiziev's volume's dropped a bit here. What is cool about this fight, though, is it does kind of show us the full spectrum of Fiziev's skills. It shows us his striking, his grappling, his takedown offense, his cardio. So we probably don't need to watch too much more footage on Fiziev. I don't think it's going to be all that useful to watch him against, you know, guys like Justin Gaethje, because Gaethje's style is absolutely nothing like Gamrot's. It's quite nice that we've got this matchup here, where RDA, there's a lot of similarities between RDA and Gamrot. So it's a good fight to watch. But at this point in the fight, I don't see Fiziev as doing a particularly good job of putting his stamp on things. His volume's definitely dipped. His hand speed is slower. And this is when RDA is stood right in front of him. Imagine how much more difficult it would be if Gamrot was kind of bouncing around on the outside with loads of footwork and movement. It's a very tricky fight though, man. Because again, at the same time, if Gamrot burns himself out in 2-3 rounds, you can see it's not going to be easy to take Fiziev down, and then he may just end up getting lit up. So it's one of those fights where I'm very torn. Alright, let's get this 4th round going. So round 4 starts at 22 minutes and 11 seconds. 22 minutes, 11 seconds. Sync it up. Sync it up. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Hand speed is still there for Fiziev for sure. Look at that takedown defense as well. RDA shot a nice double leg there. He read it perfectly and got underhooks in place so early. That's the difference between him and Jalen Turner, although his arms are carried a lot lower than Turner because he's only 5'8", so it is easier for him to get underhooks in play early, but still his ability to read RDA's entries is fantastic, especially because RDA's takedown entries are really good. Where is this event being held? Is it in the Apex? It is. I was just thinking that obviously with the fight being in the Apex, it will be a smaller octagon, which means it will be easier for Fiziev to cut the cage off because there won't be as much space for Gamrot to move around in. So there is that factor. If it was like a big octagon, it would be a lot easier for Gamrot to avoid having to engage with Fiziev. It will be harder in the Apex. Nice double leg entry from RDA, the deepest entry in the fight. deep enough that Fiziev didn't have a chance to get underhooks in play there. So now let's take a look at how effective Fiziev is at working his way back up to his feet. He's been able to slip his legs out from underneath RDA and get his back tight to the cage. And that's the thing, right? Gamrot can really wear Fiziev down in these positions. Especially if he takes him down out in the middle of the octagon where he hasn't got the cage that he can use as a tool to wall walk back up to his feet. And you see now Fiziev just looking tired in this position, doesn't have the energy to stand back up, with RDA wearing on him, forcing him to carry his body weight. And the thing about a position like this is you don't need to have particularly good grappling control to still maintain dominant positions, because Fiziev just doesn't have the energy to get back up. So in sequences like this, Gamrot could have a lot of success, especially if his cardio holds up like it did in the Tazrukian fight. I think I am starting to lean towards Gamrot, you know. Let's sync up this 5th round. Let's get into round 5. So round 5 starts in 28 minutes and 24 seconds. That's 28 minutes, 24 seconds. Hey Lemons, how you doing, mate? Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing good, mate. So let's get into this 5th round in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So I want to watch the Gamrot versus Dariush fight next. And I'll probably flip my opinion again. This is one of those fights where it's just very difficult. I think this is one of those fights that you're just better off downloading the information, watching the footage, learning about the strengths and weaknesses of both fighters, and then live betting it. As you guys know, live betting's our speciality, right? We make a profit pretty much every month. In fact, Svet DM'd me with some crazy statistics on live betting the other day. Shout out to Svet, who's been a member of mine for a while. Take a look at some of these stats. So what he basically did is go through my results database and just basically cooked up some stats based on our live betting performance. So on average, we lose 2 months out of the year, which is pretty amazing, right? 1.95 months. So out of 12 months in a year, on average, we only have 2 losing months. And this is all live betting, which is pretty incredible. So the longest winning streak, 12 consecutive events. The longest losing streak, 4 consecutive events. So using it on average, approximately 1.46 months. Okay, I'm not too sure why there's 2 different statistics, but basically between 1.5 and 2 months in a year, we lose and then we make profit on the other 10 months. So like I say, when I say in my videos we make profit almost every month live betting, you can see we got the stats to back it up. Then he says the percentage chance of having 2 losses. So this is, I asked him about this. This isn't losing bets, this is losing events. So the probability of having 2 losing events in a row is only 7%. Probability of having 3 losing events in a row, only 1.18%. Probability of only 4 losses in losing events in a row, 0.39%. So big ups to Demon Slayer Svet for doing that for me. Really appreciate it, man. And I think this is one of those fights best kept for live betting. Just download the information, learn about the strengths and weaknesses of both guys, and then hopefully we'll be able to profit from it live. So we'll go and take a look at the Dariush fight now and see what that is showing us. So I'll drop the link in. Hey, what's up, Braden? Hope you're doing good, mate. I was actually researching the Brian Battle fight before this. I did think that Fletcher was a lot better than he actually is. So you could be right there, mate. Brian Battle could be a decent bet this weekend, but I gotta finish that one off. Obviously, Battle's takedown defense ground game is a big concern, but I don't know how well AJ Fletcher is going to be equipped to exploit that weakness. So sync up this fight for me. There's the ESPN Plus link. I think. Maybe not. Alright, let's get it going. So the first round of Gamrot Dariush starts in 1 minute 56 seconds. That's 1 minute 56. 1 minute 56. And let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Beautiful double leg entry there from Gamrot. Absolutely incredible. The timing on his takedown entry is just absolutely phenomenal. Look at that scramble as well. Look at that scramble. And this is the thing, right? When you watch this fight alongside the RDA versus Fiziev fight, you can see that Gamrot is going to be able to make Fiziev work so much harder than RDA could. You know, in those positions where Gamrot is scrambling like crazy, looking to wear on him up against the cage, RDA didn't really do any of that stuff. Gamrot forces you to exert way more energy when defending against his grappling. Already though, man, just 2 minutes into the fight he's taking deep breaths. It's kind of wild how bad his cardio is. It blows me away when people say he has good cardio. I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. He's already taking deep breaths and we're literally 2 minutes into the fight. It is wild. I just don't understand what the fuck happened against Tajrukian, because he looked amazing. He didn't slow down at all. But just 2 minutes into this Dariush fight, you can already see he's starting to slow a bit. I absolutely love a fight though, where you literally have no strong lean either way on who's going to win, and you know it's going to be a competitive fight. There's nothing better than a really close, well-matched, competitive fight that goes the distance. It's so good for live betting, which is obviously our cash cow. It's our bread and butter. Live betting UFC is our speciality. So when you get fights like this, it is amazing, because you know they're going to be very competitive. Very unlikely either one of these guys dominates. They're just very well matched. But I look at these positions that Gamrot is putting Dariush in, and it's gonna take a toll on Fiziev in a way that RDA didn't really make Fiziev struggle. And you've got to question as well. Beneil Dariush is a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Fiziev has got good takedown defense, but ultimately he's a kickboxer. How would Fiziev perform in these positions if Gamrot is like dragging him into crazy scrambles, right? Is he going to be able to win these scrambles or do as well in these scrambles as Beneil Dariush is? Probably not. Probably not. Gamrot may find it more difficult to get Fiziev down than he's finding it to get Dariush down. But if Gamrot does get Fiziev down, is he going to be able to scramble out of these positions as well as Dariush can? I doubt it. And you can see other little subtle signs there that Gamrot's getting tired. Just shakes his arms out by his side. That's another little tell when a fighter's getting tired, when they shake their arms out. It just means their arms are getting tired. Alright, let's get into this second round. Let's get into it. So round 2 starts at 8 minutes and 5 seconds on Fight Pass. That's 8 minutes and 5 seconds on Fight Pass. Let's get into it. 8 minutes, 5 seconds. Hey Joey mate, I scored the fight, so we'll start this up and then I'll mention it, man. So this next round starts at 8 minutes and 5 seconds. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So I scored the fight 3 rounds to 2 for Shevchenko, and obviously that round 4 was like the one that people are most torn on, right? The reason why I scored round 4 for Shevchenko was because the only reason why Grasso even had a chance of winning round 4 was because of that one sequence where she went to the clinch and was landing those knees on Shevchenko and then drove Shevchenko into the cage. But half of those knees that Grasso landed were illegal knees, and the referee should have stepped in and stopped it. With those knees, the round is more difficult to score, but those knees shouldn't count because they, half of them were illegal. So you take those knees out of the equation. I think round 4 is a relatively clear round for Shevchenko. So that was the only reason. I thought the referees were awful on Saturday night. The referee in the Grasso-Shevchenko fight completely missed those illegal knees and just let it go. And obviously you had the issue in the Lacerda fight where he didn't tap, his legs were still underneath him, and the ref stopped the fight early, by submission. So very, very disappointing, man. And you know what? That, again, the referee missing those illegal knees could have cost Valentina the fight. It's a disgrace. Because if he had stopped the fight there for those knees, then it would have taken Mike Bell and those knees to rob Shevchenko of the win. So not great. Valentina did kind of get robbed, man. Not good, not good. She kind of got screwed on 2 fronts, right? The illegal knees that weren't pulled up, and the fucking 10-8 round 5, which is wild. What can you do, man? UFC. For me, man, the Mike Bell scoring round 5 for Alexa Grasso at 10-8 is one of the best examples of outright blatant corruption I think we've ever seen. There is no other explanation for it. It wasn't a 10-8 round. Valentina won the first 3.5 minutes of that round. Yes, she slipped, had her back taken, was in a bad position for the final minute and a half of round 5. But I haven't seen anyone other than the judge, whose job it is to get things right, score round 5 10-8 Grasso. If Grasso got Shevchenko's back early in the round and spent the whole round hammering her from back position and getting close to rear naked chokes, then a 10-8 is in play. But for Shevchenko to be outstriking Grasso in round 5 and then only a minute and a half for the end of the round gives her back up, it's not a 10-8. And so for me, Mexican fans in the arena, the UFC promoted the event as being all pro Mexico. You've got a Mexican fighter in the main event. They even made a special Mexican themed belt for the fight. For me, it's almost like Mike Bell realized that Grasso was about to lose a decision on a Mexican themed event in front of a load of Mexican fans when they've made a special Mexican belt for her. And he's like, oh fuck, how do I fix this problem? I'll just write down fucking 10-8 on round 5. That'll fix it. Fight will be a draw. And Grasso will get to keep her belt. Disgraceful. I don't want to sound negative, but I just think the UFC is a fucking joke. I just think it's a joke. It's an absolute fucking joke. Every week, we just see fighters get absolutely robbed. Like last week, we had John McDessie versus Jamie Malarkey. It's impossible to score that fight for Jamie Malarkey. Which, any scoring criteria, any rule set, any way you want to dress it up, McDessie won that fight 29-28. He's 38 years old. He doesn't have a lot more fights left in him. He's close to retirement. And he loses his win bonus because the fucking knucklehead Sack Cage side couldn't do their job and score the fight correctly. Every single week, the judges let the fighters down. And it's an absolute disgrace how the UFC do nothing about it. Whenever Dana gets asked about it in a press conference, all he says is, it's out of my hands. It's down to the athletic commissions. I can't do anything about it. Well, you actually can fucking do a lot about it, because guess how athletic commissions get paid? Athletic commissions get paid by boxing promoters, MMA promoters holding events in their jurisdictions. If you don't hold events in their jurisdictions, the athletic commissions don't get paid. So for Dana to say he has no influence, no control, it's down to the athletic commissions, it's a fucking joke. Of course he does. Because if he stops holding events in athletic commissions that consistently display poor judging and show absolutely no intent to fix the problem, then just don't hold events in those jurisdictions. Come out and say after last weekend that Mike Bell's 10-8 scorecard in round 5 is completely unacceptable. It has cost a UFC legend, Valentina Shevchenko, the opportunity to retain her belt. Until Nevada State Athletic Commission announce that they are doing something to prevent that from happening again, we're not going back to Nevada. Fuck it. There's plenty more jurisdictions around the world we can hold events in. I know it's tough. Nevada's the fight capital of the world. The UFC are based there. They have the Apex. They hold a ton of events there. But I guarantee if the UFC stopped doing events until the Nevada State Athletic Commission fixed judging, they'd fix it real quick. Because right now, Nevada get a UFC event almost every week, right? Between Power Slap, the Apex, the T-Mobile, the Nevada State Athletic Commission are getting money from the UFC almost every week. And nothing changes every week. Fighters just getting fucking robbed. So, it's Dana's got to fix it, man. Dana's got to fix it. It pisses me off that he just fucking turns a blind eye. And you know what? That makes me think that they are guilty. When you see these crazy situations play out every single time, where whenever you've got a controversial decision, miraculously the judges are always scoring the fight in favour of the fighter who is more beneficial for the UFC if they won. MMA Guru did a brilliant video on this. Shout out to MMA Guru, man. If you haven't watched it, go watch it, because it is very good. I'll bring it up for you now, man. You guys need to watch this video. MMA Guru did an amazing piece of work. He puts out a lot of videos, so I might not be able to find it, but I really want to shout this video out because it is phenomenal. I just don't know what he would have put on the title. Maybe judging. Maybe. Yes. Guys, I will link it in YouTube. You have to watch this video. Guru has done the fucking Lord's work in this video. Check it out, man, because for some reason the UFC are turning a blind eye to a giant problem that is having a serious impact on their fighters. So if they claim to care about fighters, they need to fix fucking judging, because every weekend I'm watching guys get robbed. So if they really care about fighters, they need to fix that problem. They can't keep turning a blind eye to it, because it's blatant. And at this point, it's getting to the point where if everyone in the fucking universe scored round 5 of a UFC title fight 10-9 Alexa Grasso, but one of only 3 people in the universe whose opinion matters scored it 10-8 Grasso, which cost Valentina Shevchenko the belt, because if Mike Bell would have scored the round 5 accurately, 10-9 Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko would have won the belt. She would have won 3 rounds of 2 on 2 judges' scorecards, which is an acceptable scorecard, right? Even if you scored the fight for Grasso, everyone's kind of torn on round 4, right? 2 rounds were very clear for Shevchenko, the first and the third. 2 rounds very clear for Grasso, the second and the fifth. Round 4 is the only one up for debate. You can make a strong case for either girl taking that. For the UFC to just completely brush under the carpet that Mike Bell scored, was literally the only fucking guy in the universe to score round 5 a 10-8 for Alexa Grasso. For me, it's fight fixing, it's corruption, it's something dirty. Because I own a business, right? There's my business, MMA Betting Tips. There's a serious problem impacting your business. You make it a priority to fix it. It's the most important thing in the world, you fix it. How can we see every single weekend your employees, I know they're independent contractors, right? But you're supposed to care about the health and the well-being of your athletes. The UFC is supposed to care about their fighters. How can you tell me they care about their fighters when every single weekend we're seeing guys like John McDessie or Valentina Shevchenko get half their paycheck stolen from them by 3 cheating, corrupt, evil motherfuckers sat cage side? And I hear people like, oh, Mike Bell is usually a good judge. Fuck off, my guy. I don't care. I really don't care. All I know is everyone in the fucking universe scored round 5 of Shevchenko for Grasso 10-9. This prick Mike Bell scored it completely wrong. And now both Valentina and Alexa Grasso lost half their paycheck because there was no win bonus on the fight. It was a fucking draw. And Shevchenko lost, didn't lose the belt, but she doesn't get the belt. Mike Bell should be fucking ashamed of himself. Absolutely fucking ashamed. How can you fuck it up? How can you fuck it up? How can you fuck the scorecard up on that round so bad? Hilarious thing is, he didn't give Grasso a 10-8 round 2 when she scored a knockdown. Just for the fucking back control instead. Disgrace. Absolute fucking disgrace. And it cost me tens of thousands of pounds, which is dollars, right? It cost me so much money every year. Bad judging costs me so much money. I'm 0-3 on split decisions this month. And 2 of those 3 losses, the fighter won. But the judges fucked it. They got the decisions wrong. It costs me so much money. It's infuriating. So when people are like, "Oh, Chris, why are you trying to stop? Why are you trying to stop betting on the UFC? Why are you trying to move into football?" It's because of shit like this. I'd literally bet on the UFC for the rest of my life if it wasn't for shit like this. You see stats like this, boys, right? You see stats like this. So Demon Slayer Svet has done really good work analysing my performance on live betting, and he shared some interesting stats with me. I'm not exaggerating here. We only on average have 2 losing months a year. So we make money on 10 months, we lose on 2 months, right? That's amazing. I swear to fucking God, as true as I am sat here, if it wasn't for bad judging, we would never have a losing month, ever. And if any of you are in the live betting group, you'll back me up on this. I would say more than 90% of our losses are due to bad decisions. It is very, 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 very rare we lose. It's very rare we bet a fighter and they fucking lose because they weren't good enough. It's fucking very rare. Very, very fucking rare. The vast majority of our losses are split decision, absolute fucking bollocks. So I don't care if Mike Bell's usually a good judge. He should be fucking ashamed of himself, because round 5 was not difficult to score. I'm getting angry now, so we better get back to this fight. Pisses me off, man. Sigma Trillionaire, what's up, mate? Saying it's becoming more of a business and less of a sport. If it's a close fight, they'll give it to the more marketable guy or the guy with the hometown advantage. Sometimes it's just plain ignorance. Exactly. You know what's crazy though? Is where literally a UFC legend, a former champion, gets robbed. In the fucking post-fight interview, she says, I literally only lost the fight because of hometown advantage. They scored the fight for Grassos. There's loads of fucking Mexicans in here. She goes and does the fucking post-fight press conference, then gives a monologue about how if that fight was anywhere else in the world, she would have got her belt because hometown advantage cost her. And no one does a fucking thing. No one does a fucking thing. Everyone's just like, oh well, it was a close fight. Who gives a fuck? Literally. The whole world knows that Valentina got fucking screwed. And no one does a fucking thing. And look, the Valentina Grasso fight, Valentina Shevchenko Grasso fight, is not the best example because it was close, right? It was absolutely close. You know, I don't have a strong opinion on who won the fight. I know Valentina got fucking screwed because without the 10-8 round 5 she would have won. But if 2 of the 3 judges would have scored the fight 3 rounds 2 for Grasso, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Here's what it is. A better example would be Jamie Malarkey against John McDessie, where it is absolutely fucking impossible to score that fight for Jamie Malarkey. You just can't do it. Another example, while we're on the topic, is Mateusz Gamrot versus Arman Tazrukian. And we'll watch this fight in a moment. I've watched Tazrukian versus Gamrot literally 3 or 4 times since it happened. It is absolutely impossible to score this fight for Gamrot. You just cannot do it. Under any scoring criteria, any metric, you cannot score the fight for Gamrot. It's fucking impossible. And yet they did. The judges did. It was a unanimous decision. Not a single judge scored it for Tazrukian. It's a fucking joke. It's a fix. It's corrupt. There's something going on. And for some reason, Dana's turning a blind eye, which speaks fucking volumes. Because if there's a problem in my business, I make it a priority to fix it. So why is he just ignoring it every week? It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. And again, we've talked about the MMA Guru video. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. Guru's done amazing work, right? But the crazy thing is, once again, Grasso Shevchenko, somehow, again, to Guru's point, the more marketable fighter won, right? Let's be real here. It's better for Grasso if she's the champion for the UFC than it is for Shevchenko, right? Grasso's young, she's attractive, she's marketable. She might not be the biggest draw. You know, she's not going to be a huge star. But she's got the whole fucking country of Mexico behind her, which is a huge market. Valentina is older. She's not a huge pay-per-view draw. She's from Kyrgyzstan, which is obviously a non-existent market compared to Mexico. So, again, we've got another situation where it's a close competitive fight. Could be scored either way, right? I feel 50-50. Could go either way. Round 4 is a toss-up, however you score it. Again, by some fucking miracle, some coincidence, the fighter won who is more beneficial to the UFC that they won. It happens every fucking time. And you know what else pisses me off? MMA journalists. They fuck me off. Because they will literally go to the end of the fucking earth doing investigative journalism on UFC fighter pay. And they'll do massive case studies on the lawsuits, and they'll do long form interviews with fighters on, you know, on fighter pay and how badly the UFC treats them. Bitch, please. Do some investigative fucking journalism on the motherfucking crooks and criminals that judge UFC fights every week. All you motherfucking MMA journalists that do investigative journalism on fighter pay, how about you turn your attention to Derek Cleary or Mike Bell or Sal D'Amato? What the fuck has Sal D'Amato got to do to get investigated? Literally every single weekend he tosses out scorecards which are utterly impossible. So I get it. UFC fighter pay is terrible. They deserve to be paid more. We all know this, MMA journalists. You don't need to keep ramming it down our fucking throat. Do you know what I mean? But you've been ramming it down our throat for 15 years. You haven't had much of an impact on UFC fighter pay. You know what else could impact the amount of money fighters earn? If fucking fights are scored correctly. Because John McDessie had half his paycheck last weekend because he lost his win bonus in a fight he won clearly. So maybe take a little bit of time investigating motherfuckers like Sal D'Amato, because they're crooks, they're criminals, and they're doing a terrible job, and they're robbing fighters and costing them money every single fucking week. And every single person that ever watches the UFC agrees with me. There's no different opinions. Everyone, from fucking Ariel Helwani to fucking, who's his nemesis? Dylan Dennis, right? Ariel and Dylan Dennis, nemesis. Everyone agrees on this one thing. It unites everyone. So fucking fix it. Somebody, please. Drives me crazy. Costs me so much fucking money. I'd be way better off, way happier if the fucking judges could just do their job, because everyone else can do it. Crazy. Need to get back to this fight. Going off on a tangent. I feel very passionate about it because of how much money it fucking costs me. Let's get into it, man. Let's go. LP is saying, I absolutely agree with everything he's saying. It's funny how the universe works because Shiv won a controversial split decision against Taylor Santos. Yep, you're right, dude. You are right, mate. Santos not that marketable, right? Doesn't speak English. Yeah, you're right, mate. You're right, mate. And, yo, Mark Damaris, great point. This is one of those rare occasions where, literally, like Mark has said, I haven't found a single person that scored that fight, or scored that 5th round 10-8, apart from Mike Bell, whose fucking job it is to score the fight correctly. Which is why when people are like, oh, usually Mike Bell's a good judge, doesn't matter, because brown envelopes. I have a feeling there's some brown envelopes going on, man. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Crazy. Yeah, I'm not sure, Joey, mate. How to become an MMA job? Probably join the Mafia, mate, I reckon, or be related to the Mafia, or the Yakuza or some shit, because there's a lot of brown envelopes going on. That is literally the only fucking excuse for some of these scorecards we see every week. Anyway, let's get into this 5th round. Gamrot Dariush. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah, man, I am actually leaning more towards Gamrot in this fight, which I didn't expect to be the case. But I do think the range in which Gamrot fights in will make it harder for Fiziev to put his stamp on rounds with his striking, because Gamrot's not going to stand right in front of him like RDA did. And you look at little situations like that, right? Gamrot hits a really nice double leg takedown, briefly gets a dominant, or briefly obtains top position on Dariush, but then Dariush is able to hit a scramble off a leg lock to work his way back up to his feet. Fiziev isn't going to be able to do these things. So when Fiziev starts to get tired, is he going to have as much success creating scrambles as guys like Dariush, who's a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, or guys like Arman Tazrukian, who obviously has a base in combat sambo, who's a great MMA grappler himself? I think Dariush and Tazrukian's ability to scramble obviously made life very hard for Gamrot. But Fiziev, can he do that? I doubt it. I doubt it. Like when we briefly saw RDA get him down, he just kind of accepted being on the bottom, looked tired, looked a little bit unconvincing on the bottom. And I will also say this, right? Problem with Gamrot is he's very inconsistent. He fades in almost all of his fights. The one he didn't was that 5-rounder against Tazrukian. If that version of Gamrot shows up this weekend, Tazrukian is fucking... Fiziev is absolutely screwed. He is completely and utterly screwed. There's just no way that Fiziev would... There's no way that any version of Fiziev that we've seen would be able to keep up with the pace that Gamrot set in that Tazrukian fight. It was unbelievable. I don't know what he did differently, but if he does that again... Crazy. So here, 2 minutes to go in round 3. You can see Gamrot, mouth open wide, laboured body movement. He is looking tired, but he is still able to generate a lot of drive on his takedown entries. You know what? This is one of those fights where coming in, I thought Fiziev could be a pretty good bet, but I've actually completely flipped my opinion on this one, and I do lean more towards Gamrot now. I'm not going to be betting him, but I don't like betting on guys that their cardio is a little bit sketchy, but I do think Gamrot is going to be able to make Fiziev work way harder than Dos Anjos did. And the range that Gamrot fights in will make life a bit harder than Fiziev, or a bit harder for Fiziev. I don't think you're going to see Gamrot stand in front of Fiziev like he is here now against Dariush. I think he'll be all the way out or all the way in. Like, even just winning these scrambles, right? Would Fiziev even be able to initiate these scrambles that Dariush is creating in the first place? So interesting. Yeah, my opinion is flipped on this one. You know what, guys? I don't think we even need, after watching these two fights, I don't think we even need to watch the Tazrikian fight. I'm pretty confident with what I've seen on Gamrot's last two, that I have a pretty good read on this one. I'm not going to be betting it pre-fight. I've watched the Tazrikian fight many times in the past. I'm quite happy, man, to leave it there. My lean is definitely Gamrot on this one. My lean is definitely Gamrot, but I won't be betting him. Cardio is a bit of a concern, but I do think he likely causes Fiziev some trouble here. So we'll leave it there, guys. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm going to be dropping a Champions League betting tips video just after this. Going to do the thumbnail, get it out, and then Champions League starts tomorrow. So hopefully we can make some money from those bets. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. Take care, and I'll be back.